Alright everybody, welcome to more non-Corvette content, but don't worry, there's plenty of Corvette content to be had, just gotta be patient. But I picked up this 1984 Chevrolet C10 pickup and we're gonna see if we can get it to run and drive again. So in the truck world, I know there's a few things that make pickup trucks special. One, four-wheel drive, two, short wheelbases, and this is neither, but it's probably more rust-free than any pickup truck that you're gonna find in a long time. So this is a 1984 Chevy Special Deluxe, and interesting thing about it, it is actually a straight six truck. So most people would poo-poo at this truck and be like, oh, it's not worthy, but guys, this is a super duper straight rust-free truck. Now, this truck was parked in '93, so in reality it was only about 10 years old when it was parked. According to the Carfax, there's about 84,000 miles on the truck, but again, it sat for basically 30 years, so everything is a big question. But I think it will make a good project. I think it will clean up. So I did take the liberty of cleaning off this fender just real quick with soap and water, and so hopefully the rest of the paint will turn out just like that. So as you can see, I mean, the rockers are great on this truck all the way across. There's, as could be expected, a couple dents, you know, a couple paint chips on the bed, but I think this truck would make an awesome, as Vice Grip Garage says, going to town rig. So here on the inside we have even more crap. So again, this truck was parked. I have a theory on why it was parked, and I'll show it to you later. But it's a pretty bare bones truck. The cluster has been removed, and the radio is out, and the AC controls are out. And the reason being is I think they were trying to put air conditioning in this truck. The reason why I bring that up is you can see this is a non-AC truck, but we do have an AC compressor bolted on. And I think that's the reason why everything on the inside is all taken apart, because they were trying to figure out ducting. I don't know. Another thing is the condenser, you can see, is getting smashed by the hood pin. You can see in there. So clearly something aftermarket was going on. Anyway, straight six engine, should be pretty simple. It's actually the first one I've ever worked on, but we're gonna get under the hood later. So you can see, obviously it's been sitting quite a bit, just full of goo. Now see, I don't know if that's a rust hole or if that's a factory hole. It looks like a factory hole, but from what I can tell, there's so little rust on this truck. It's kind of amazing. Bear, you're in the way, dude. So a lot of times all rockers are rusted out. This one obviously has a little bit. Again, it's been sitting for a long time. Dashboard just full of stuff. I did find this in the back. This is a Man at Arms magazine from '92, and then a brand new jack is sitting in the back. Everything points to this truck was, somebody wanted to put air conditioning in it in '92 and it just never happened. The bed is of course full of crap, which we're gonna have to get rid of. Some old Craftsman routers, I think they are, but all the bases are broken and everything, so I really don't think they're worth that much. Just scrap. And then a bunch of old random water heaters. I did spend some time taking the original wheels off out of the bed of the truck, but it's got like probably 4 or 5 inches of just dirt. So I'm curious to see how the bed has handled itself with all this dirt. I mean, there's a literal roll of carpet right on the front. So let's get this cleaned out. I at least need to get it off my trailer today because I have another car to pick up tomorrow. So the goal today is clean out the bed, unload the truck, and maybe wash it. All right, we got the truck unloaded. We got it winched up to the shop. I always love the My little Harbor Freight ATV winch makes getting cars in the shop uphill by myself just that much easier. So we're gonna wash it. It's just so gross that even just a little hand wash will help. I know that the paint is toast on the hood, which is kind of sad, but it's got to get done. Car sitting outside for 30 years, that's just what's gonna happen. So. All right, so that was a quick, real fast spray and wipe down. Obviously the hood, windshield, and the roof are gonna need a little bit more work to make them clean, but what we can do is we can soak them in cleaner while we do other things. One thing I definitely need to do is clean up this bed. It's just gross. So what I plan on doing is bringing the truck most of the way into the shop, having the tailgate hung over this lip right here. That way I can A, work in the shade, but B, I can just basically shovel everything out into trash bags, into the garbage, and that way all of that can go bye-bye without having a mess. Like, I already made a mess in my driveway. How long is that going to take to disappear? I don't know, but we'll try to do it the right way. But this side didn't clean up as well as the other side, but again, I didn't really do much other than watered it down, put super clean on it, let it sit for like a minute, and then sprayed it off, wiped it down. So no cutting, no buffing, nothing like that. So anyway, we'll get to winching this in a little bit farther and going from there. It's still mud. So we've had a lot of rain here in Texas in this June, July months. Weird. But anyway, it's been rained in. It's also been rained in for the last, I don't know, 30 years. So 3 trash bags full of just straight up dirt. This happens when leaves fall in it every year. But in reality, the only real bad spot is that. I mean, we'll know a little bit more once we get all the dirt out, but I'm pretty happy. Weirdly enough, I think that mat actually helped a lot. So we might put that back in. We'll see if we can get it to lay flat again. But yeah, I'm gonna let it dry out. And once it's dry, I'll sweep it out. I wanted to push the truck backwards to get the hose on it, but you know what? Didn't want to move, so it's gonna stay where it is. All right, the truck is on the lift. It's in the air, so we can look underneath it for the first time. So I was able to look a little bit when I loaded it, but really haven't looked much at it since then. So again, this is one of my first C10s I've ever had, so go easy on me. I don't know too much about them other than you don't want the rusty ones. So that's what we're gonna do. So it's like right back here, we got a bunch of hacked up wiring. I don't know what that's for, the trailer or that's for a hitch. This is weird. What is that? There's a big outlet plug right here. I don't know if that's for a block heater, but the wire goes all the way down that way. Rear fenders look really good. All the bed braces look awesome. It's got this little tiny differential in it. Definitely not a posi. But that's okay. It will probably do exactly what I want it to do, which is work. Look at this bed floor. There was that little spot of rust toward the front. Here it is. Let's see it right there. Just a tiny little bit. And of course, you know, some goo got washed down, you know, in between there. It looks like on fuel lines. But even the exhaust isn't rotted out. Like, the exhaust is in good shape. Very surprising to me. We have the gas tank here, which looks like it might be missing a strap. I'm not sure. Again, I don't know, the straps are inside here. So it looks like this is just a tank cover, kind of from a protector shield. Something along those lines. This thing is solid all the way up through. It's really the reason I bought it is because I was just amazed at the fender lips, the bed, the rockers. This is where everybody wants to see right here. Look at that. Solid as can be. Let's see, transmission. I don't know if this is a 700R4 or a 350C. It's got a pan that looks like a 350, but it also has electrical components to it. So again, vacuum actuator. I guess I'm gonna assume it's a 350. I mean, it's an 84. What did they have in 1984? I know Corvette went to 700R4 in 82, so trucks were maybe a little bit behind. I don't know. But check out all these leaves. All these leaves. So this thing, when I pulled it up on the trailer, all the suspension was just covered in, like, it looked like this everywhere. So a lot of it came out as I towed it home, but bunches and bunches of leaves. Different colored shocks. We got a red one on that side, blue one on that side. Here's the straight 6, which I'm kind of excited to work on because I've never worked on one before. And then we got brake proportioning valve, looks like right here. We got steering box, but mostly I'm just looking for rust. One of the things is that these disc brakes, they really don't want to turn very much, or at least very well. At this point, they're all locked up. They have rust all over the rotors and stuff, so they'll move with a winch, but they won't move when I you know, push the truck. 26 of 84. Anyway, here's this big red cable. I don't know what that's supposed to go to. Looks like it just ends here. So it looks like we can take it out, which I probably will do first just for fun. But since we looked under the truck, it looks good enough from what I could tell. Let's go venture into the engine bay and start cleaning. All right, it's time to put a battery in this truck, and the first thing I have to do is clean these battery cable connections. As you can see, they were so dirty that the bolts aren't good anymore. The plastic that was around the actual cables is basically all falling apart. I was able to clean up the negative fairly well. Could probably use a little bit more cleaning, but this positive is so rusty and so gross that I'm gonna have to take it off of the car, off of the truck, and put it on the grinder and grind it down so that I can get to clean metal. Yes, these will need replaced in the future. Yes, this is cheap and we will do it, but I'm not gonna do it on an engine that I don't know anything about. So we're gonna basically just unhook it from the starter, pull the cable, clean it, put it back. All right, moment of truth. My winch battery. We have new bolts for the battery. I've cleaned up all of the ends, so hopefully, oh, no big arc. That's good. That's a good sign. Now we have to check for smoke and check for fire. All right. So far so good. One good thing about this truck, it did come with a key, but again, the whole cluster is out. So when I turn this, I don't know if anything's gonna happen. Oh, I heard a click. Oh, I guess the windshield doesn't matter. Funny thing, I don't know where the windshield wiper switch is. I'm assuming it's this. Let's see. Okay, wipers work. Do we have any kind of lights? Headlights, tail lights? Probably not. Well, it doesn't look like it. Nope. I'm assuming that's the light switch. Looks like a light switch to me. Oh, look at that. Just gotta pull it in and out a couple times. Two headlights and a marker. Same on this side. Would these work if they had new bulbs? Probably. I don't expect these to work, but you never know. Yeah, those bulbs are trash. And we have one on this side, that's good. The main thing is, I need to know the engine will turn over with the key. We have no starter. All right. It's a possibility they unplugged some crap in here and they were doing the dash, but we will get to that. Man, I was hoping it would turn over with the key. Oh, maybe I didn't turn it far enough. Everything just needs exercised. Alright, it turns over with the key. So before we go any farther, let's gonna unhook the fuel pump because it's right here and easy to do, plus it will need done anyway. And then we can check for spark, make sure we have spark at the distributor, maybe check for spark on one of the spark plug wires, put some gas in it, see if it goes. So the oil in the engine was about a quart low when we began. This is basically a quart of leftover that I have. It's 30 weight oil by Lucas. I used it and then I kept it, so we're gonna put it in the engine just to be safe. That should help us out. Maybe lubricate some valves. I don't want to take this valve cover off if I don't have to, but I will if I have to. Let that sit. Next, we're going to check for spark and see if we can at least make it run a little bit. This carburetor is very strange. I'm not used to a square carburetor like that. I'm hoping that's the vent for the bowl. Let's spray some gasoline down and see what happens. Alright, with the ignition on, we should have 12 volts to that power wire. And we do. There it is. So I'm going to assume it's going to do that while it's cranking as well. It's an HEI. Should be pretty easy. But let's throw some gas in it and see what happens. This gas may look like pee. It is gas though. I ran cars off of it already. I'm hoping this is the bowl vent. The square part on the carb. Very convenient if it was. Let's see if she pops. Okay. Well, before we finish that, we have to fix this. So, of course, I didn't think about this. The radiator's gone, so the transmission is now puking itself where, you know, once you crank it, it's going to puke. So we're going to have to run a hose from here to here so that the fluid doesn't fall on my floor. So we'll do that first. Well, this is a first. See in there? Ants living inside my distributor. That could be a real that guy is running, taking the egg away. Run away! That could be a reason why it doesn't want to fire. That is also a reason why it doesn't want to fire. So, see if I have another ignition module. It looks really rusty in there. Let's clean it all up. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty stuck. Clean it all up and see if we can't get any fire out of that. But it's not going to fire looking like that. And that's pretty crappy in there too. But the ants don't help either. Alright, all the guts inside of the distributor have been changed. The ones that were in there were very, very corroded. I put ones in there that looked better. We'll see what happens. If we get spark, it should just pop. It should just make, I just want it to make some kind of noise. Didn't sound any different. I don't think we still, I think I might need to change the coil. Or the whole distributor. Alright, a little more digging. If you look inside the distributor, you can see it's had water in it. There's a lot of rust. Also, this coil, this is a regular coil, I know how to test it, but you see these hot marks? I don't know if that's the way they should be. I don't know if that's how they're built, but it's the last thing I haven't replaced, and we'll have plenty of them, so let's give a used one a go. All right, take 1,000,000. Whatever number we're on right now. All right, it has been a day, one extra day, and I decided to just go ahead and bite the bullet and replace the distributor as a whole. So I replaced everything, the coil, everything but the cap basically, and even though I'm getting power, nothing's working. I think the problem is it's too corroded on the inside. But with that being said, I have a brand new Chinesium one from Amazon, basically the cheapest one I could get. It's worth a try. I think it was like $60, something like that, so it's got to be better than the one filled with ants. Distributor is in the same spot as the old one was. With all the wires on it, it looks way out of place. It's this bright red, brand new thing. But that, if it's any good out of the box, should run. Let's see what happens. Hey! Started up pretty good. This happens when you have spark. Alright, let's try it again. Alright, it's too hot out here to work anymore, but that'll do it for this video. So the engine sounds good enough that I feel like I can put money into it. So oil change, spark plugs, maybe a carburetor rebuild, a fuel pump, that kind of thing. Let's get it to run and idle, and then after that, if it sounds good, we can get it to get a radiator, get a cooling system, see how it goes. I knew this was going to happen, and I wish I had recorded it. Look at all this stuff that flew out of the tailpipe. But hey, it ran.